today. I'll probably do a bit better in Dutch, but that would not be too helpful for you guys. So I'd rather go in English. Yeah, I work for Google. I live in the Netherlands, and if like Street View, you probably all know Google Street View, right? If that would have existed like a couple of decades ago, this would have been a picture that you would see in the place where I live. So I live. Even though I live in the Netherlands, I'm not from Amsterdam. This is not a very Amsterdam-like picture. I live on the countryside. And this is, what you see here is just a farmer with a plow and a horse. And I think if you think of agricultural business and how that evolved over the years, back in the days it was a very linear type of business, right? If you wanted to have an extra, if you wanted to work on a piece of land that would be twice as big as what you are working on currently, you would need an extra plow, an extra horse, and an extra person to make that happen. And if you want to grow bigger, you need to have more and more people, and that would scale like linearly. If you look at Street View right now, and the place where I live, it is more like this scenario, right? Farmers with tractors that work like acres of land by just applying technology. And if you think of how the agricultural business has evolved over years, this is typically what we try to do within Google, right? We try to, give you guys technology that will help you to scale your businesses. And UiPath is also, a big enabler for doing so. So I think this is always a nice analogy of explaining what we try to do at Google. So, who has seen this before? Some of you probably did, right? So our search engine, that's where it all started. About 20 years ago, in '98, our founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, in their garage, thought it would be a good idea to, make a search engine, build a search engine for the internet, and look at where we are 20 years later. But again, I mean, the search engine, it might feel a little bit magical, but I can tell you there is not much magic behind it. What's actually behind it is a lot of data centers and a lot of infrastructure to make sure that you guys get your results within a couple of milliseconds, right? And again, it might feel magical, but there is much more to it. There are a lot of data centers, a lot of technology behind this. The good thing is that this technology has also become available to you guys a little bit, because a lot of the things that we've built internally are exposed to the public these days, and I'll talk a bit about that later on. Another thing I would like to talk about is how we work with artificial intelligence, because that's what the presentation is about today. And you might have experienced that in when you when you use our search engine, right? Maybe you've seen the recommendation. So if you type something, it will auto-complete. Probably have all seen that, right? Obviously, that's based on data that we collected over years and years, and it will give you the more data we get, the better recommendations we can give you. And search is not the only product where we build in AI. If you look at this graph, this is it's a bit old, it's a year old, but you can see the curve and how it how it grows. This is the number of AI technology, the number of projects where we implement AI technology, and there's a lot of internal stuff that you guys don't see. I do, by the way, but there is also a lot of products out in the open that you guys probably work with or have worked with. Like, there is in Android, there is stuff. There in Google Maps, there is stuff. Google Translate. You might all, name all the products, and we might have put some AI flavor into that. So again, AI is a big thing for us. Next to, I don't want to, keep talking about all sorts of buzzwords, but cloud and AI is, very strong for us, very big. I just want to talk a bit about some of the products where we built this in. So who is using Google Photos here? It's like, yeah, some people. Yeah, not too many, really. Picasa, have you heard about that? Yeah, so previous name. So Google Photos is, well, probably everyone knows, but it's a product where you can, store your photos. And one of the cool things, at least one of the cool things I think, is that you can find your photos back by, entering a search term. So how does it work? Every time you upload a photo, it will will use our AI technology to tag what is in the photo. So if you want to search for a photo later on, for instance, a beach in this example, it will bring up all the photos with a beach in it. The obvious examples are there with cats and dogs, but you can figure out how this works. Another good example, I think, is in our translation API. So who is using translation here? Google Translate? Yeah, so a lot of people. Yeah, so in our offices in Amsterdam, we have a lot. It's very international, and still we do a lot of things in Dutch for some reason. But the people from whatever country use Google Translate to see what's on the menu and that sort of stuff. Works really well, and it's very much part of our culture, I think, just as Google itself, like the search engine, is part of our culture and has actually become a noun in most languages. Then Gmail, I think people in the room might be using Gmail as well. We have a thing there called Smart Reply. It will give you some answers or replies on an email that you'll get, and it will do that based on the context of that email, obviously, but it will also use your history of replies. And that will just, increase your productivity to a small extent, but, it's quite something. Big thing for us. Then this little thing, who thinks that we are really cool with car design? Nice, okay, thank you. Personally, not so much. But from a technology and artificial intelligence point of view, everyone can tell that the self-driving car is a big thing, right? Road sign recognition, bike detection, bike recognition, car recognition, pedestrian recognition, all that sort of stuff. There is a lot of that technology built in here. But everyone who has been to Amsterdam, some people in the room, have you been to Amsterdam? Yeah, good, yeah. So who believes that a self-driving car would work in Amsterdam these days? Not. Oh, someone does. Well, I can tell you, probably not. So my personal opinion is that, in some years we might actually get it, but for now, doesn't really work. It will stop all the time. So in the Dutch Google office, we thought of something better because, when in Amsterdam you see, people biking, because that's how you get around there. So we thought of a better concept, which is called the self-driving bike. And I would like to roll the video right now.
The Dutch cycle more than any other nation in the world, almost 900 kilometers per person. But that also means we have 350,000 bike-related injuries. Now imagine that we would make biking safer, smarter and easier by applying self-driving technology to biking.
We taught our self-driving bike to figure out where it is, what's around it, what will happen next, and what it should do. We leaned on Google's expertise in self-driving cars, but we had to adapt the technology to work on a bike. We decided to add 2 additional features. First, you can request the bike to pick you up wherever you are, and we developed a comfort mode, adjusting the pedals to a perfect resting position.
I think the self-riding bike could really give a boost to the economy because people could also work on their bicycle. You work in your office, you work in your home, you work in your car. You could even work on your bike.
I have so much more time. My kids love it. They're just free. They can go anywhere they want, anytime they want. It's amazing.
At the Fietsersbond, we feel that this is the biggest invention since the invention of the bicycle itself.
At Google, we always put our users first. With the launch of this bike, we believe we do that again.
So, who would like a bike like that? Yeah, I would. Unfortunately, it isn't there. It's one of the April Fool's jokes that we do every year. But it gives a flavor of what we're trying to do. We're trying to democratize AI. We try to give this technology to the world. Again, not the car yet, not the bike at all, but some other interesting bits that you can use in your business currently. So, and we all try to summarize that as the democratization of artificial intelligence. So if you think of what we're having right now, we could think of two categories. We have a number of building blocks, like if you want to do OCR, you guys know what OCR is, right? If you want to do like translation, that sort of stuff, we have APIs available that you can directly implement into your workflows. It's not like you would have to build your own models. You can rely on the APIs that we have. If you want to be more specific, if you want to build something that is specific to your industry, if you have very specific images you wanted to recognize, or specific handwritings, or whatever you can think of, we also provide a platform to build your specific artificial intelligent models. Right, so and I want to talk a bit through that. Talking about the building blocks, we have, well, you can read them on the screen. We have a video API that is basically a very easy API where you can send a picture to, and it will give you back the results that will express what is in the picture. So it will say like a beach or cat or dog, whatever. It will also give you, if you have people in the picture, it will give you the sentiment. So it will say if people are in the picture are happy or no, not that happy, or you get the idea. We do the same thing for video, so you can send like a video to it, and it will give you like per frame what's in the video. We have the natural language API. We have a translation API. So a number of those fully baked building blocks that you can directly use, and I'll show later on how that is built into UiPath already. I talked about the Vision API. It does a bit more, so face detection, logos, that sort of stuff. But it's very generic, right? It's based on the pictures that we got in our Google Photo system. That's how we train the model behind it. The good thing is that, again, that you can try this. I mean, this is not hidden. This is not anything secret. This is just out there. If you Google for Vision API, for instance, or Google Cloud artificial intelligence APIs, you would probably find this site, hopefully, and it will give you ways to try it, right away. You can, upload an image, and it will give you what's in the image. Again, easily accessible through an API, easily to be integrated into your workflows. If you want to be a bit more specific, then ultramel can work for you. This is a relatively new service for us, that you can use to train your own models without having, a PhD or a, data scientist team within your company. This is only enabled for now on the Vision side of things. So it will let you upload a number of pictures, like very specific pictures of, let's say, hats or T-shirts, and you will tag all those pictures and tell the system what's in it, and that's the way it will learn, and it will give you a probability later on when you upload one of the pictures. It will give you a probability on what is on it. Again, more specific than the generic APIs I was just talking about. Again, if you build something like this, it will be exposed as an API again that you can integrate within your workflows. To give you a better example, if you're in retail and you want to make a distinction between handbags, shoes, and hats, this will easily this will be a product that will easily give you that. I don't want to dive too deep in technology, but if you want to go further, if you want to build like really specific models, you can use our AI platform to do so. We have things like TensorFlow. Anyone? TensorFlow, if you work with that? Yeah, big framework for building machine learning models. If you have those models, we provide a platform to run those on. If you have like other artificial intelligence stuff, it will probably run within our cloud platform. If you want to know more, find me later on. I can probably tell you a little bit about it. Cool. So this picture kind of sums it all up. These are all the solutions that we have in place right now in our cloud. Again, the cloud is the vehicle that we use to expose all these technologies to the outside world. In the middle, you see all the building blocks again. On the bottom, you would see like the more advanced type of products that we have, services that we have within our cloud to build your own very specific models. Kaggle is another one on the bottom right. That's a community where you can host your machine learning hackathons and that sort of stuff. So we upload a number of data sets there. People can use it to to play with, basically. One more slide about cloud, and sorry for the somewhat US-centric picture here. But we have a cloud that is based on the network that we have in place that is also being used for YouTube, Google Search, Gmail, all the products that we have. We rely on that network. The cloud has grown big time. We have quite a large number of data centers around the world, and a large number of points of presence as well. So if you run your processes, like maybe your UiPath processes, somewhere in the world there's probably a Google data center close by that you can tap into to work with artificial intelligence building blocks that we have. Cool, so finally, last part of the presentation, I want to talk a bit about what we've been doing together, what Google and UiPath have been working on in the past months. And I was alluding to the building blocks that we have in place. So Cloud Vision is the one that we started with. That has been integrated in Studio. And I'll give an example of that later on. There are plans to also get the other ones in, like natural language, cloud speech, so to make sure that becomes a native integration within UiPath Studio. If you don't want to wait, you can obviously build it yourself, but I would say you'd better wait for it. It kind of looks like this. So here is Studio on the right-hand side, and it shows you how these sub-functionalities of the Vision API are built into it. And again, for translation and all the other building blocks, we're gonna see that as well. Have you guys worked with UiPath Go already? Some of you, community, no? All right, so we have a number of Google functionalities built in there as well. And you would see things like G Suite, so the new name for Google Apps, for who didn't know. We would see integrations there as well. So a number of use cases that might be interesting here if you want to get information from, let's say, contracts. The Vision API that would do the OCR for you can help you there. If you want to make it more specific, then you can absolutely do that. But again, the generic building block that we have in place will do a lot of things for you already. In know your customer scenarios where you maybe want to do some Vision API to detect faces somewhere, or maybe if you want to get more specific and do like face recognition for specific people in your company, then there are also APIs that you can use from a Google point of view. Finally, voice insights. If you want to do town halls, that sort of stuff. What we do, for instance, if we have a big conference and we have someone on stage and we need to do a translation into Spanish, for instance, then we use our translation API to make that work, and speech to text to also put closed caption on the screen. Those are things that you can do. One more thing I wanted to talk about is the vehicle damage estimator, which is more of a full solution that we built together. This is all about if you have damage on your car. When you have been in an accident, for instance, you can use your cell phone to take a picture of the damage, and the system behind it, which is an AI-based model, will give you the amount of money that that damage would be. And after that first picture, which is really the trigger for a process, we need to obviously do a lot of things to process the claim, and that's all been implemented in UiPath. So here you see a real nice combination of an AI model, very specific one, with robotics at the back. Another one which I didn't put in my slide deck is about a contact center. So, you know, if you have a chatbot based on Dialogflow, which is our product, you can easily integrate that with all sorts of back-end processing integrated in UiPath. So, you know, that's another one that is already out there, and you can start using that if you want to. In general, I would say, and I hope, you know, that's what you get from my presentation today. We have these building blocks available. There is no need to wait for your data scientist team to, you know, to get in place. Everyone can start using it. It is as easy as, you know, using UiPath. So I would urge you, if there's a need, please start using this. And that's it for me, guys. Thank you.